Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the January 6, 2026 executive session of the Clarksville City Council. First item on our agenda is the Planning Commission report. Mr. Tyndall, please, sir. And the first item under that Planning Commission report is Ordinance 40, 2025-26. Mr. Tyndall, please, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, City Council. As you can see, our Planning Commission meeting was a while ago, and I'll refer to my notes tonight. The first request tonight is Planning Commission Case Z49, 2025. This is 3 parcels currently zoned R2 and requesting to go to R3. It's the application of Jonathan Blick. The properties are 3 separate parcels. First fronting on the north frontage of Hickory Grove Boulevard and the south frontage of Elwood Drive. And the remaining 2 parcels are located at 400 Hickory Grove Boulevard and 400.5 Hickory Grove Boulevard. It's a small group of parcels bisected by Hickory Grove Boulevard with a moderate slope and trees. This is in Council Ward number 6. This is in the South Clarksville planning area. The applicant statement is to match the R3 zoning in the area for single-family infill development. This is on the border of the urban neighborhood in the orange and the suburban neighborhood planning areas in the South Clarksville planning area of the comprehensive plan. And here's the current zoning. You can see a lot of the existing R3 along Cumberland Drive and Woodmont and the other roads around there, and more to R2 to the west, R1 to the south across the road. So the one parcel is this triangular parcel you're looking at between the intersection of both roads. This is Elwood looking back to Hickory Grove. Parcel's on the right. And that's looking up towards Elwood. And looking back at it again. Then across the street to the left are the other 2 parcels that are requested with this zoning. There they are. There's one home on it and the trees on this property. Department comments and concerns. No traffic was assessed. Assessment was required since it was below the threshold. They must follow the city access ordinance for driveway locations on Elwood. Sidewalks will be required and drainage easement. There is a drainage easement through the middle of one property that will have to be addressed during subdivision. It can be moved, platted, adjusted. It might be able to be worked with. They'll just have to work when they subdivide the property on what to do with that drainage easement in the property. There were no other department comments or concerns. The school system listed their capacities of the schools there listed. Historic estimates would put this at approximately 14 units. A little difficult to calculate with some of the irregular sizes, but based on the acreage, 14 lots. Staff does recommend approval. The request is consistent with the overall goals and objectives of the comprehensive plan. These parcels are designated suburban neighborhood in the future land use plan, which supports limited attached housing and increased density along major transportation routes. Hickory Grove Boulevard functions as a collector street, serving the major transportation route for the area. The request is located within 500 feet of a designated neighborhood node, an area identified in the comprehensive plan as a place appropriate for increased residential density and targeted neighborhood scale commercial investment. Increased residential density through infill and redevelopment is most appropriate in areas with well-connected street networks, existing infrastructure, and convenient access to goods and services such as the South Clarksville planning area. The Planning Commission also recommended for approval.
Thank you, Mr. Tyndall. Councilman Holloman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Tyndall, so it's 14 units under R3. How many units could they get at R2?
Based on that acreage, 2 acres, and we typically say R2, R2 comes in a little over 2 units an acre, so 6, maybe 7, depending on how they divide it up.
So it's a pretty big jump.
Could be.
Gotcha.
They're deep parcels. We did not see a plan yet on how they want to do that. I'm sure the applicant can explain a little better what their yield might be, but we've not seen a final sketch of it. too small to put a new public road in, so these would be frontage lots, so that may also cut down on it a little bit.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Councilman Smith, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Tindall, for sharing this information. My concern is, were there any oppositions from any of the people that live in that area?
We did not have anyone at the planning commission attend the meeting. We have no letters in the packet.
And also, thank you, these homes you said gonna be single family. Now, I noticed that when we said single family, I'm looking at some of the ones on Crossing Avenue, they're joined together. So are these gonna be single family? I thought single family was, single, not joined together.
R3 will allow for either single-family duplexes or triplexes, but you need more land for the duplex or triplex. The way it's scaled right now is that you need considerably more land for a triplex than 2 or 3 single-family houses. Based on the frontage they have there, I would expect this to be single-family homes. That's what the developer expressed at the planning commission, but I think that's a fair question for Thursday night.
Okay. And also, are they gonna put sidewalks and the road is gonna be widened? Because, it's very narrow over there. What are they gonna do about the traffic, turn-ins and turn-outs? Is the fire department gonna be able to get in there or whatever we need for emergency service? To turn around is so narrow over there. I'm very well aware of that area.
The fire department did not provide any objection to this request. Hickory Grove Boulevard's a decent width out there, and it even has a middle painted yellow line. If the street department determines that subdivision that we need another foot or 2 of asphalt, I'm sure they'll be required to do that. Curbing and sidewalk will be required when they build the frontage lots. I don't anticipate a new side road. These will likely be shared driveways or
Turn back
frontage.
to that picture where they're gonna be sitting. Okay. And so you're gonna have sidewalks
On
that
the
way?
right side there and on the left side around the corner. Let's get to, so this side, on the right side, will have sidewalk on Elwood. And then down to here to the corner, sidewalk. This already has curb on the north side of the road, sidewalk there, and on the left side of the road in front of the lots as they're developed.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Councilman McLaughlin, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Tyndall, on the small piece of property that's in the triangle shape, what would be the maximum amount of units that could fit on that tiny parcel?
Maybe 2, and we're not sure about that either. So 2 single-family houses, likely 1. That's where that drainage easement is that they'll have to work around, so it may just allow for 1 on that parcel.
Because of setback in the drainage?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions or comments regarding this ordinance? Next item is item B, ordinance 41, 2025-26. Mr. Tindall.
Thank you, Mayor. This is application Z50 2025. This and the next application, Z51, are both by Fonda Malone, and I may refer to both properties between the two, but we'll take questions independently here. This portion that you see in front of you here is 1.23 acres. It's requesting to go from AG agricultural to R5 residential. It's a parcel fronting the north frontage of Whitfield Road, approximately 200 feet north of Whitfield Road, Needmore Road roundabout. This is in Council Ward number 9 in the St. Bethlehem planning area. The applicant's statement is to build affordable housing. And there it is. You can see Glen Ellen School across the street. This is the comprehensive plan, future land uses. This is in the suburban neighborhood section. You can see mixed residential in the darker yellow and the commercial in the red along the street there with the school in blue. Here's the current zoning map. I always joke about this area has just about every zone we have in a quarter mile out here. In the past, the city council has approved 2 R5 zonings to the north there in the orange. And this parcel was just another piece to the south there, so it would all join together potentially. The next request you're also going to see is just a small corner to the south of this. It does touch this piece of property, and we'll talk about that one next. So that's this parcel. It does have a home on it and a driveway access. There's a beautiful new sidewalk provided by the city of Clarksville out there across from Glen Ellen. There's the driveway access just north of the roundabout. Utility department said gravity sewer main extension will be required to reach this property. The street department said a traffic assessment was required for this parcel and the other parcel we're gonna talk about. They did a combined traffic study because it's the same owner, just two different requests. Due to its proximity to the Whitfield roundabout, the traffic assessment was reviewed and accepted by this Clarksville Street Department. No other department comments or concerns. The driveway location will be addressed by the Clarksville Street Department at future site plan, depending if this parcel does get developed with other parcels in the area. This parcel does have an access that they can use. We'll obviously want to move that away from the roundabout as far as possible during site review. The school system noted their capacities of their school system listed. The applicant statement was 35 units. That is a total with the parcel next to it. This parcel right here would be 14 total townhome units. That's what R5 permits. The staff does recommend approval. This request is consistent with the overall goals and objectives of the comprehensive plan. This parcel is designated suburban neighborhood in the future land use plan, which supports limited attached housing and increased density along major transportation routes. Needmore Road functions as an arterial, and Whitfield functions as a collector street, both serving as major transportation routes for the area. The adopted comprehensive plan supports increased density near areas where schools and commercial uses are, especially where supporting infrastructure such as sidewalks and pedestrian facilities are in place or will be provided as part of the development. The Planning Commission also recommends for approval.
Thank you, Mr. Tyndall. Any comment or question? Councilman Smith, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. What did you say the school system said about the capacity, because it kind of,
Yeah, they've got the capacities of Glen Ellen at 106% with 5 portables in use, Northeast Middle at 90%, and Northeast High School at 80%. No portables at Northeast High School, 6 portables in place at Northeast Middle School.
so it is gonna make it overloaded again. It's already at capacity. Because you know you're gonna bring in those units, it's just gonna flood the school. So I guess we have to bust them out somewhere and change the zone, I guess. I don't know. But thank you.
Councilman Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Tyndall, it says, of course, 35 units combined adjacent. Which adjacent lot is it referring to?
Yeah, I'll just jump ahead. It's this parcel to the south here, this additional 0.3 acres.
But of course, that one, I know we're going to be doing it next. That one is C2, and they've stated they want commercial retail.
We, yeah, I don't know where the 35.
I understand we're not to that one yet, but if it's referencing it, that's why I was asking the question. I'll gladly ask it again once we get to the next one. Thank you.
Councilman Brown, you're recognized on this one.
Thank you, Mayor. So this one to me is an extension of the current R5, and they may work together with the owners of that one to kind of combine it, but the capacity of Glen Ellen Elementary, the time frame that this is going to take to build and prep and everything, do you know a time frame on is it the Freedom Elementary up there, up by the airport road area?
Freedom Elementary is slated to open this fall, and there is a rezoning that will go into place that I'm not sure if it goes as far to alleviate Glen Ellen. It may touch some of the outer corners of it, but it's going to be a ripple effect from the northwest corner of town through like Barker's Mill and Hazelwood and Pisgah especially, and West Creek. That's going to really, and Ringgold. It's going to affect those schools a lot more. But as those schools pick up capacity, then these schools like this can also give some capacity to those schools. So
Right.
it's like throwing a pebble in a pond.
Right. And that's what I was thinking, that, those feed more to it, and then some of this area would go to fill those. So, the capacity could come down, to where it could handle this more, but, so I just look at this one as an extension of that. Now, the next one's a different story.
Councilman Chandler, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. We have any kind of indicator of where this traffic would be coming off of the first one? Would it be coming back onto Whitfield Road?
Yes, sir. You can see their existing driveway right there in this photo. There is a driveway pad that was poured as part of that. Now it is through the striped median there, so upon development of this parcel, and I can't quite remember, but I do think the internal square there is also the same owner. We would look to push that access as far north as possible away from the roundabout when they bring it in for development.
Okay, and I'm gonna jump ahead to the next one, the lot on the corner. Where would that be coming out? Is it gonna be, are they gonna be made to go back out?
That's going to be the key point to talk about next, is that that parcel has no access, but it is owned by this parcel owner, so it would be a portion, you would come through this parcel and go down to that portion of the parcel. You cannot have a driveway off the roundabout right on the corner. When the city built the roundabout, they specifically purchased the driveway access points of that, and that parcel does not have a driveway and cannot get a driveway itself.
Thank you, sir.
Any more comment or question? All right, well, let's move on to the next one, shall we? Ordinance 42, 2025-26.
This is Z51, 2025, also an application of Fonda Malone. This is .29 acres, currently zoned R2 and requesting to go to C2 General Commercial. It's a parcel at the northeast quadrant of the North Whitfield Road and Needmore Road roundabout. It's a small parcel located at the roundabout. It's in Council Ward Number 9 in the St. Bethlehem planning area. The applicant statement is for a small commercial retail. There's that parcel highlighted for you there, with the previous parcel being just to the north. The planning areas and the current zoning in the area. So this parcel has no structure on it. That home is on the parcel to the east. So again, a possible gravity sewer extension will be needed to access this parcel. A traffic assessment was required along with Z50 2025, so they combined that into one traffic assessment. It was reviewed and accepted by the street department. The police department did ask questions about the access, and we answered that at the planning commission meeting. And the school system did provide a comment about commercial sites near the school campus that you can read. It's quite long. I'll read it. As commercial sites are developed near CMCSS school campuses, vehicle congestion and increased pedestrian traffic safety must be considered. Vehicles turning left from multiple access points onto Needmore Road will directly impact traffic approaching or exiting from Glen Ellen campus during the CMCSS school year. Currently, traffic access to Glen Ellen proves difficult with daily vehicle loads traveling in and around the vicinity of the proposed development. Continued growth in traffic causes more delays for students and bus drivers during school pickup or drop-off. C2 will permit mixed-use potential with commercial and multifamily residential. The access is required to be combined with the adjoining parcels to gain access to public street. Applicant's estimate for units, again, they mentioned 3 on this. This is in the suburban neighborhood land use as mentioned. I will say if this parcel is combined with the parcel to the north, which is what we would anticipate, it would be a site where you'd have the townhomes in the R5 section and then maybe a small commercial, I would think for the size of the parcel, a small couple thousand to maybe 3,000 square foot general store or something like that on the corner where the access comes through the parcel to the north. They do get to potentially use those multifamily units on the property elsewhere as long as it's kept as one property. But only the commercials could be in that south portion. The parking could be on the north portion in the R5 if they design it that way. They've not provided a design, but staff did chew on this a lot to say, how could you build this with the parcels around it? We actually think this might be one of the best uses of this because it provides use of the property when it doesn't have a driveway by using the properties around it in a combined scenario. We would require this all to be platted as one lot during the subdivision process. So staff's recommendation for this parcel is for approval. The request is consistent with the overall goals and objectives of the comprehensive plan. This parcel is designated suburban neighborhood, and in the future land use plan supports neighborhood scale commercial near residential uses at major transportation route intersections. Needmore Road functions as an arterial, and Whitfield Road functions as a collector, while both serve as major transportation routes for the area. This parcel is prohibited from having access to Needmore Road per the deed restrictions. I'll also extend it, also Whitfield Road. The adjacent parcel to the north is under the same ownership, and a concept plan has been shown as the traffic assessment that identifies a shared driveway with Whitfield Road that is required per the street department comments. The planning commission also recommends approval.
Thank you, sir. Councilman McLaughlin, you're recognized.
My main question is that we talk all the time about once we introduce a new zoning classification to an area that doesn't have it, we're opening the floodgates. So if this should pass, we could probably expect more of that along where the R2 is along Needmore when we're struggling for affordable housing. So I don't know if that came up in any of the staff conversations about that, you know, we potentially could be turning a lot of residential properties into commercial if this passes.
That's why I think the city council has the ultimate decision on these. We think as a corner lot that has no access is one thing. Maybe the lot next door thinks they want C2, and we'll have to take those one by one as they come. I would not be in support of a full C2 block over there to Ann Drive. That's too much for the area. You have a lot of other commercial to the south with the neighborhood market and other things that are developed down there to support the region. But a corner store on a sidewalk with a walkable neighborhood behind it might not be a bad idea.
As long as it's not continuing the theme of putting gas stations by schools. Thank you.
Councilman Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, I go back to my previous question on the other one. So the applicant put that their intention was 35 units between the two lots, including this one. But yet they put on this one that it's a retail commercial. So is it, like you said, the plan that they're utilizing that space to be able to increase their density on the previous zoning case we just discussed?
Staff talked about this a lot, and we actually talked to the owner. We felt if they just wanted to credit the property towards additional units, it would just be R5. But their intention is to have a commercial aspect on this parcel, but they can also take advantage of the extra 3 or 4 lots that you can get on 0.3 acres elsewhere on a larger property if they develop this with the properties around it.
Okay, and then I have concerns with the thought of utilizing this space for a retail commercial, and they're gonna be going through a residential area to access it. I don't feel like that's we've seen it in the past where you may have the commercial in front and the residential behind, but talking about, you know, having a business there where people are gonna have to go through, you know, townhomes, apartments, whatever ends up. I realize R5 is townhomes, but I also know that C2 allows, like we talked about, allows for apartments. So it just, I don't know, this math just isn't adding for me for it to be a good move for us to do here, especially if it allows, doing this also allows that one to have a total of 35 units plus a retail, and it's that close to the roundabout. So I'm definitely not going to be in favor of this one, and it could shade my opinion on the other one as well, since this is going to have to be considered as a whole if they end up bringing it back together. So, thank you.
Councilman Brown, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. So I have concerns with this being in the roundabout and being commercial. You know, people have to pay attention when they're driving. If they're looking through the roundabout and you got a commercial business there that's got all these signs in the windows or something, or trying to draw people's attention to the business, I just don't think that that's a good spot for a commercial business to be there, some kind of retail store or anything. You know, for the people that live next to it, it might be handy for them to walk over there, but you also are going to have the people driving to there that'll probably end up having to park in the apartments or the buildings next door, because there's not gonna be much parking in that parking lot. They're having to drive through there, so then you're tying up the residents' access to their residence. So I just don't like this one in the roundabout.
I think the layout of the site is a little speculative. I think it's a little short to assume they're gonna park in other places. Whoever develops this will have to develop it in a way that meets our parking requirements for commercial as well as the parking requirements for the townhouses. And if the townhomes are built before or at the same time, whoever lives there knows what they're gonna get into. So I think it can be designed in a way, and we'd love to encourage mixed-use opportunities, and it is a unique opportunity. I will say, just, for any other fears that are out there, if this parcel was zoned and not incorporated with the parcel north of it, it still doesn't have a driveway. The driveways have been purchased on this, so it kind of is a little bit of a landlocked parcel as it is right now.
Councilman Lovato, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I apologize for not looking this up earlier. Do we know if this is in the parent responsibility zone?
It absolutely would be.
I will say I am absolutely a no then. We're gonna put residential right next to commercial, and they're gonna share a parking spot, whether, I don't care where they're parking, but now we have kids who are gonna be walking to school while battling commercial traffic. I'll be a no on both, thank you.
Any more comment or question regarding this ordinance? We're ready for item D, ordinance 46, 2025-26. Mr. Tindall.
This is Planning Commission case Z52, 2025. This is the application of Calvin Ligon with Ligon Home Builders, Gayla Stewart, and Darrell Atkins as the applicants. This is 4 parcels combined for approximately 14.7 acres. This is currently a mixture of AG agricultural and R2 single-family residential, wishing to go to R3 three-family residential district. The properties consist of 4 tracts located along the northern terminus of Bell Road. It's a semi-wooded tract of land with a residential home site and power line easements running north to south across the property. This is in Council Ward number 9. This is the comprehensive plan future land use. Notice it's suburban neighborhood. We're just a stone's throw from where we were with the previous case. And here's the existing zoning in the area. For the council members who weren't here in the past, the R3 was passed several years ago in the darker yellow. They requested to come back for R2A on a portion of this parcel and another one. It was denied. The applicant has worked with the other property owners in the area to add to their subdivision to make this work. And I'll talk about some of those aspects here in a second. This is currently Bell Road, where the current subdivision, so the R3 that exists there in the dark yellow is getting developed currently. And one of their requirements was to improve Bell Road to the extent possible, which is 20 feet of asphalt all the way out to Needmore Road, providing a second way in and out to that subdivision instead of using Ann Drive or Whitfield Road. So what you're seeing here is the north is to your back, you're looking south where the road is gonna come out on Bell Road going out. So they're in the process of cutting in the subdivision and doing the road work now. Now you're looking south. They have not done this portion of work yet, but this will be widened to the extent possible. Like I mentioned, that's going to eventually be 20 feet of pavement. What you're looking at is about 10, 11 feet of pavement right there. This is one of the parcels off to the east of Bell Road. All right, department comments and concerns. The Gas and Water said a water main extension will be required. A traffic assessment was received and accepted for this additional portion of land. No other department comments or concerns, and the school system listed their capacities of Glen Ellen, Northeast Middle, and Northeast High School again. The impact of this development would be single family with the potential of duplex or triplex properties. Historical estimates on R3 for 14.5 acres would be 73 units. This is in the suburban neighborhood planning designation. Planning staff recommended disapproval. The request is inconsistent with the goals and objectives of the comprehensive plan. The future land use opinion map designates these parcels as suburban neighborhood, and large areas of R3 moderate density residential within the designation do not reflect the intended development pattern of the area. The Planning Commission, on the other hand, recommended approval, citing the existing R3 to the west and the same developer.
Councilman McLaughlin, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. This is probably just more a comment. Last time we discussed this area for rezoning, we discussed accessing Nicole Road, so we're not continually trying to dump more people onto Newmore Road. Was anything brought up by Mr. Lugden about trying to acquire access to the property that would connect this area to Nicole Road?
Nicole Road.
It's north.
Oh, to the north. No, there's a large sinkhole to the north and drainage basin. If this were to, and I don't have a subdivision yet, we would try to stub to the north if we can. We would definitely be stubbing to the east and hopefully get over to Nan eventually. And then if the properties to the south ever develop, connecting to Pat Drive as well, and make that whole area connected back and forth.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Chandler, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have as much of a question as I do a statement on this. We're looking at 3 rezonings that's gonna add, according to the figures that provided, 296 people, 110 units. In the area of this town that's already got everything crammed as much as you can get into it. People that's on the council now, remember the last time I was on the council, when a subdivision came up, you know, we need to beware, we need to beware. Now we had to go in and redesign Needmore and Whitfield to put in a roundabout. I'm scared of these 3, and the reason I'm scared of these 3 is looking at them, as a crow flies, there's not much distance between any of them. And we're looking at agriculture all around it. How long is it gonna be before somebody else comes in and decides, well, we wanna put 200 and something lots? Because I'm looking at spaces that are a whole lot bigger. And I just think that, I drove Needmore Road the other day, coming back from the new Kroger's, and it took me about as long to get down Needmore Road as it does to drive Fort Campbell Boulevard. And to me, this is just, you're asking us to cram some more people into a small area again. And I'll be voting Thursday a no on all 3 of them. That's it. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Any more comment or question regarding this ordinance? We're now ready for item E, ordinance 49, 2025-26. Mr. Tindall.
All right. Bear with me for a second. We did have a couple deferrals at the Planning Commission. This is case Z55, 2025, the application of QP4. This is 12.96 acres, currently zoned R5 residential district and requesting to go to R2A single family residential district. It's an undeveloped tract located at the western terminus of Quarry Overlook Way. It's currently a wooded portion of a property adjacent to abandoned quarry site with railroad to the northwest and a previously approved development plan. This is in Council Ward number 10. It's in the St. Bethlehem planning area. The applicant's statement is for a proposed single-family development. Previously, this was zoned in 1980 for a quarry, and then it was zoned in 2020 for the R5. So going from R5 to R2A is in essence a down zone from townhomes to smaller single-family lots. And there's the future land use map of the suburban neighborhood. And here's the current zoning. You can see there's a developed portion of R1, then R6 little cluster in the back there, and then this was going to feed into an R5 subdivision in the back. The R5 to the south off of Old Russellville Pike has been developed. The quarry lies in that R5 in between it there. It's pretty much undevelopable between these 2 areas. Here's the road that was installed by the developer. It's a small roundabout, and it terminates at what this would have been the future section. So they're going to request that this be a single-family section of the development. department comments. The street department said it was a down zoning and below the threshold for a traffic assessment, but sidewalks would be required with the new subdivision roads. No other comments or concerns, in the school system listed their capacities of the Rossview Elementary, Middle, and High School complex. Historic estimate would be 58 units. Staff does recommend approval. This request is consistent with the overall goals and objectives of the comprehensive plan. The proposed R2A aligns with the suburban neighborhood designation identified in the future land use opinion map. The requested R2A single-family residential zoning represents a down zoning from the existing R5 and will require the submission of an approval of an updated development plan through the Regional Planning Commission. Planning Commission also recommended approval.
Thank you, Mr. Tyndall. Councilman Brown, you're recognized.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Just a question about the quarry. I would imagine that they're not gonna build on top of it, cause I know that quarry down there, some of it does go underground. So would this be on top of some of that, or is that all in the other R5 area? Cause I've been down there before and went into those kind of what you call caves, but where they've been dug out. Got in a foot pursuit out there.
This parcel slopes as you go west. You can see the old cutout of the quarry on the screen here. So this parcel is to the west of it. I cannot promise that it is not over any caverns. There is considerable distance, a couple hundred feet, I think, between the bottom of the quarry and the top of this property there. But geotechnical will be part of their review process for this to make sure that's okay.
Thank you.
Did you get your suspect?
Yes.
Okay,
That was a long climb up.
okay. Always gets his man. All right, Councilman Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Tyndall, I know you stated this would be reduced density with it being a downgrade. You've got a historical yield of 58 with it as an R2A. What would be the historical yield as an R5?
We'll say 13 acres, 130 to 150 townhomes, down to around 58 single-family homes.
Okay, and then with the issues in regard that were just discussed, will they be able to actually use the cluster subdivision to be able to yield smaller lots? I realize it doesn't change the number, but I'm just asking in
No,
regard to lot
R2A
size.
is not clustered.
You're right, sorry.
It is a standalone zone. It is a 5,000 square foot minimum, which is similar to cluster, but it doesn't require the cluster option, so it doesn't get any smaller.
I apologize. Thank you.
Any more comment or question regarding this ordinance? We're now ready for item F, ordinance 50, 2025-26. Mr. Tyndall.
This area may look a little familiar to the council. This is case Z56, 2025, application of Crest Properties. It is a portion of a parcel. It is 0.21 acres is the request. The parcel is obviously a little bigger than that. This is 12 Concord Drive. And they're requesting to go from R1 to R2A. It's the rear of an existing lot. This is in Council Ward number 4. The applicant's statement is to add the one lot to the proposed Concord Ridge subdivision. Here's the future land use map showing this as suburban neighborhood, which R2A would be compliant. And then you can see the R2A to the south. As the developers were working on this property, they have left it off, may have gained an opportunity. It gains them one lot on the subdivision. The road to the R2A will come from the north, down from Concord Drive, and this affords them the opportunity to get one more parcel in the subdivision. There would be the proposed home. The rear of that home is the R2A request. And there's Concord Drive, where the subdivision road would come in on the left, somewhere around this picture. Now we're on the right. Was below the threshold for traffic assessment. Sidewalks will be required as part of the subdivision approval. No other comments or concerns, and the school system provided their capacities of the Kenwood school system complex. Future road will be constructed as part of the overall development. We did get a preliminary subdivision at the planning commission, so they'll have to revise that to include this additional lot. Again, it is historic estimates of one additional unit. Staff does recommend approval. The request is consistent with the overall goals and objectives of the comprehensive plan. The proposed R2A single-family residential zoning aligns with the suburban neighborhood designation identified on the future land use map. And this request would allow one additional lot within the adjoining residential subdivision development plan. The planning commission also recommends approval.
Thank you. Any comment or question? Mr. Tyndall, Councilman Chandler, go ahead. You're recognized.
Go back to the aerial map if you would, please. Yeah, right there. Okay. I know that there is a planned driveway going across one of these, or road connecting. Which one of these houses is that road that was connecting to this R2A gonna go through? Do you know?
Yes, sir. It's this parcel on the west side. So you can see where it has that little cutout that goes up.
Yeah.
The road would come on the west side of that parcel and enter here. So this lot would front that new road facing to the west.
So
The existing
That-
home will stay.
whatever you wanna call that shape, we're gonna put that right behind that house and then right beside the driveway that's gonna be connected to the other buildings, correct?
The future road to serve the subdivision will be on the west side of this parcel,
Right.
which is, this owner is selling and has already agreed to sell that portion for the roadway.
Yeah, I
They're also
understand that.
selling their backyard. But yes, a home could be situated behind this home and adjacent to the backyard of the home to the east.
Okay, thank you, that's all.
So they're gonna put one unit, one lot, that's one lot you're showing?
That is one lot, correct. They will subdivide it off, obviously, from the existing home. We won't have two homes on one lot. When the subdivision comes through, this will be cut off and will be part of the subdivision. The home to the north will be similar in depth than to the other lots in the area.
And there'll be a road or a driveway connecting to Concord Drive?
Correct. There's about a 35-unit subdivision that they were able to work out with the remainder to the south there. The road will go in from Concord, going straight south on the western property line of the home. So that existing home, that existing ranch in the photos will remain. And then, because it's going to stay R1, so it can't be subdivided any further due to its size. But by subdividing the rear property here, it allows that property owner to sell that portion to the subdivision, which they already agreed to allow the road to go through.
Okay, any more comment or question regarding this ordinance?
I told the developer I wish they'd done this on the front end. It would have made it a little easier.
No kidding. Councilman Smith, you're
Thank you,
recognized
Mayor.
on this
Thank
ordinance.
you, Mayor. So, Mr. Tyndall, this additional unit that you're gonna add under this 2A, how does that fit in the character when there's no 2As around this lot? I don't see any.
City Council about maybe 4 months ago approved that large portion of R2A to the south. Remember, it was C2 and allowed for multifamily, and then it was downzoned to R2A to allow for, like I said, around 35-unit subdivision that's
Okay.
going to come down behind those lots. They are going to be smaller than the existing lots out there, but it will be contained in its own side street.
So this gonna be, some duplexes,
No, single family,
just a single
Yes.
family? They're gonna be attached or detached?
detached.
Detached, okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Any more comment or question? We're now ready for item G, ordinance 51, 2025-26. Mr. Tyndall.
Thank you, Mayor. This is Planning Commission Case Z57, 2025, the application of CGH Properties. This is .55 acres, currently zoned R1 and requesting to go to R3, three-family residential district. Property is known as 1182 Rossview Road. It's currently a single-family residential lot with a home site on it. This is in Council Ward number 11 in the St. Bethlehem planning area. The applicant's statement is to build a triplex. The aerials are just getting updated now, but you can see the Rossview High School and Middle School, Elementary School complex to the northeast. The city recently opened up the completed realignment of Dunbar Cave Road and Cardinal Lane. So this parcel now becomes a corner lot, as you'll see in the photos. In the comprehensive plan, we did identify this area as a neighborhood commercial corridor. As you can see on Rossview Road, we went from regional commercial in the darker red to more neighborhood commercial back to the single-family neighborhoods. So we recognized its proximity to Dunbar Cave Road and the interstate, that this area might have some smaller commercial or office opportunity. Here's your current zoning of the properties. That is RM1, or EM1, I'm sorry. That is a mobile home lots to the south. You have an OP lot, office professional to the east, and R1 around it. Here's the current intersection, and the property is on the left. I'll get you there. There's Rossview Road. There's the parcel right there. Though it's currently addressed as Rossview Road, it will not have a Rossview Road access. It'll have to access the new Dunbar Cave Road as far away from Rossview Road as possible. You can see the old driveway there on the left, just behind that truck. A gravity sewer or force main extension will need to be constructed for this property. It was below the traffic threshold for an assessment. The access ordinance says you get one access on Dunbar Cave Road. No other department comments or concerns, and the school system listed their capacities of the Rossview Elementary, Middle, and High School complex. Historical estimates would be only one triplex. The parcel's not big enough to subdivide, so 3 total units. Staff does recommend approval. The request is consistent with the overall goals and objectives of the comprehensive plan. The parcel is designated as neighborhood commercial on the adopted comprehensive land use map. This designation is intended to serve the surrounding residents by providing small-scale neighborhood-oriented goods and services. In addition, the designation supports moderate or higher density residential development, which can help enhance the mix of uses and reinforce the overall function of the area. The adopted comprehensive plan supports increased residential density in areas near schools and commercial uses, especially where supporting infrastructure such as sidewalks and pedestrian facilities are in place or will otherwise be provided as part of the development. The Planning Commission also recommended approval.
Councilman Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Tyndall, as was referenced from the councilperson from Ward 2 earlier on a case, there's no R3 anywhere on here on this map. I don't see, in fact, in looking at it in this particular picture, we don't have any even multifamily in this area. So introducing R3 on this, which I understand we're talking one triplex, one small lot, but aren't you then introducing the R3 to the area, which could then encourage that throughout when you've got a vast majority of this area being R1?
When the planning staff reviews zoning applications, the extension of a zoning classification is very low on the list. We look at, does it agree with the comprehensive plan? What is the future land use opinion map say? What are the roads and the infrastructure like in the area? Just because it's next to it does not guarantee that the next parcel gets this opportunity. This, by the comprehensive plan, should be more of a smaller commercial or office parcel, but it's an odd-shaped parcel. And when the applicant applied, they said this is about all they figure they could fit on the site, because it would only require 6 parking spaces. If you put any amount of commercial on here, your parking lot would have to be much bigger. It's besides the current single-family home site that's on there, this is probably one of the least intense uses you could put on there and still develop it greater than a single-family house.
No, I understand that. I just, like I said, I think about it from the aspect of introducing it. I know that's been talked about before from the Planning Commission on the side of when discussing R6, that once you're introducing it to the area, it's introduced to the area. I know that both myself, I have been reached out to, and I know that the the councilman for Ward 11 has been reached out to, because I've had residents from Ward 11 reach out to me and tell me that they had spoke with him and he had instructed them to reach out to all of the council. So I've heard from residents in both 10 and 11 in opposition to this. Thank you.
Any more comment or question regarding this ordinance? All right, we're now ready for item H, Resolution 34, 2025-26. Mr. Tyndall, anything new on this?
No, Mayor, this was deferred by City Council last month. This was the abandonment of those portion of road network for the Clarksville Housing Authority. I believe it's been discussed a lot this past month with the city attorney and others, and I'll be here to answer any questions.
Councilman Marquis, you're recognized.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Tyndall. Actually, I want to let you guys know I do have an amendment coming on this. In fact, I've been in touch with the contractor of this, and he's in the audience, and he has a lot of information that I believe would be useful for the city council here, and I would like it if you'd be allowed to speak.
You talking
To
about right
address the
now?
council, yes.
No, this is not a public hearing. We've already had a public hearing. He can share that information with the council via the email.
Okay, well, I will have him email that, but in regards to the rest of this, there is a timeline that I guess we've misunderstood of when it was happening, or at least it was not properly told to us, which is why there was a lot of pressure to have this done back in December, but it turns out that we do have a bit more time involved in this. And as I said, I'll have him give you more details on that, but I will bring an amendment to this. Thank you.
Thank you. You're right. We have not gotten the accurate information about this or that project. So I look forward to getting that information. Any more comment or question regarding this resolution? Councilman Smith, you're recognized.
I'll just say this, speaking on behalf of some of the constituents and the people who stood up here last month trying to get this pushed forward. I don't know why we have to keep delaying something when we know that it is needed in that area. We need to, if it's possible, to vote in favor of this, to get this, this off the back of the people who wrote the grant, or who received the money. They received the money, $35 million, to try to provide everything that is requested from the state so that they could begin doing the work over in Lincoln Homes. And so all they're asking for is to get the abandoned property on Howard Street, Lincoln Drive, and Ernest Shelton Drive. I don't know why we keep delaying stuff when it comes to that area, when it needs to be taken care of immediately. Time is not going to change anything in the sense that that same person might be there. I know we're looking for a new director over there, but as I said, I think we need to go ahead and get this taken care of and stop delaying it. And I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Councilman McLaughlin, you're recognized.
The issue is that we have not received information to educate us on what we're voting for, and a resolution is a one and done. Once we vote on this, it's done, and we've lost our ability to learn about what's happening. We're not trying to slight the people that live in the area that are looking for the redevelopment, but this is city infrastructure. We have a responsibility to the city taxpayers to make sure that we know what we're voting on. Thank you.
Councilman Smith?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for your response, young lady. But we give away abandoned property all the time. And so I just want to know why, with this few little abandoned properties, that we have a problem with giving away to a low-income housing area. It's not a problem when we're giving it away to someone we want to have it. But when we say we're not trying to stop something, but we always want to delay something. And so I think that we never had a problem giving away abandonment property. And these little properties are right there together, just so that they can make sure that they keep their $35 million grant, tax credits that they received. So, and what we were discussing last week, last month, that we wanted to wait until a new director come in. Well, I found out that an investigation was done and there was nothing found to be out of order, because I was against it at first, but when I found out there was nothing charged, nobody did any harm based upon the people who did the investigation. So I don't know why we keep delaying and delaying and delaying. You are trying to prevent things from happening. Thank you.
Councilman Marquis, you're recognized.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm just gonna have to push back a little bit here because this says this item does not require a public hearing, but Mr. Bittner, can we check with Robert's Rule of Orders about this and see if it's possible to have the individual? No? Okay. Sorry. I will make sure that this information gets out to you because this information is in the room right now, but I just wanted to get you guys in touch with the individual, but I'll have him email. Thank you.
Please do, because they've had months, if not years, to educate this council on the project, and they've waited till the 11th hour and 59th minute to do that, and it's not fair to give them a second bite at the apple and do a second public hearing when everybody else has to go through the same rules. So
I
what's
don't
fair
think,
for the goose is good for the gander. Councilman McLaughlin, you're recognized.
I don't want to repeat what was previously stated, but the director is the Lincoln Homes consultant, and she's had 5 years to come to us with a plan. I don't have confidence in her directorship or her consultantship, and I just think that it's been clearly stated multiple times, this is not going to keep them from getting their money. This is a one and done. We need to make sure we have the proper information to be able to make a decision. Thank you.
Councilman Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, this may be a question for you. It was stated that in the past, we've never had a problem with doing abandonments. We do this all the time, but this one's a little bit different situation, is it not? Because this is the approving the abandonment of portions of actual road, a street, a drive, 2 drives. These are actual roads versus in the past when we've done abandonments, it's the right of way that, a road hasn't been put there yet. In the event that we abandon these actual roads, what effect could that have on the roads?
Well, they become assets or property of the Clarksville Housing Authority, which means they would have to maintain them. And we would no longer have any responsibility for clearing them of snow or repaving. And if this project doesn't happen, then they own it.
So this is very, very different than in what we've done with a traditional abandonment just of right-of-ways.
Yeah, if it's a utility easement that we're abandoning, obviously that's different, an alleyway we've done, but to abandon a city street for a project we don't have the full picture, that dog has fleas. I'll just say it that way.
All right, thank you, Mayor.
Councilman Chandler, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't know, I'm getting the feeling of some animosity. I think that we're forgetting who this is for. This is for the residents of Lincoln Homes. It won't be the first time that we've given away property. There's 4 of us sitting in here that we gave, streets, excuse me. There's 4 of us sitting in here that we gave Austin P. Drain Street beside of the Dunn Center. We gave that up. Of course, I was against it, and the reason I was against it was how you gonna get a fire truck in there if they decide to block it off? I don't know. Mayor, I heard you say, well, they've had this time and that time, and our difficulty in here is just like another case is coming up later in the agenda, not all of us have been privileged to what has gone on before this was presented. And call it what you may, but I think it's a lack of communication on all of our parts, not just any one individual but I look at this over here, Lincoln Homes been there since what, the 40s? It is in a whole lot better shape than it has been years and years ago. I think we're just forgetting who this is going for. This is, we're trying to help these people over there improve their quality of life. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman Chandler. Councilman Smith, you recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm gonna say this. An abandonment is not giving them money. They already have the money. They have the money to take care of these streets. It's not like they're gonna leave them abandoned, because they're abandoned now. Even though we do own the street, or state or city own the streets, whoever. But they already made that plain to us that they were gonna take care of them. They needed them to be able to meet the requirements to receive the money, to establish new homes in Lincoln Homes. And as the other speaker said, that there are some people sitting in here who wanted to know more about buying the property over on Union Street, but they were not formally informed. So where is the difference that these people came in just for a simple abandonment, something we do all the time? But there are people who don't want this place over at the well, and they were not properly notified. So what's the difference? So why is it such a big deal when it comes to a simple abandonment, something we do all the time? And these people, they've been wanting to know about what we're going to do here in the city with the well, and they were not properly informed. So, you know, if the shoe fit, wear it. And it's the truth. Thank you.
Councilman McLaughlin, you are recognized.
Final comment. I attended the last Housing Authority meeting. That was an eye-opening experience. If anybody has a chance to do that, I recommend it. We found some procedural things that they weren't following legally according to Public Meetings Act, et cetera. And things like that are a lack of confidence. There are people that serve on that board that are appointed by us. They're there getting information from the staff. They think what the staff is giving them is accurate, but they're getting an agenda that is not published with things on it that they are voting on without knowing that that wasn't publicly posted. That's my lack of confidence in what's going on over there. And I am hopeful that they do appoint a new director and things get squared away, because they don't just own Lincoln Homes. There are other properties that need help as well.
Councilman Smith, one last time.
Yeah, this is my last go around. She said whoever just spoke said she saw some procedural things not done correctly. I'm paraphrasing. However, this council do things that are not procedurally correct sometime as well. We all make mistakes. So let's stop pointing the finger and let's do business. Let's just get this done so these people can live like anybody else, have a better place to live. We always want to point the finger when you don't want to do something. You'll come up with anything. Oh yeah, they got some procedural problems. Well, we got procedural problems right here in this city, on this city council. So don't tell me about, oh, you got that reason why you're not going to vote for it. Or you against it. I'm not against it. Oh yeah, you just don't want to vote for it. But that's your business. But I'm just letting the city know that this city have procedural problems too. So there shouldn't be a reason why not to vote to get these people this money, so that we can get these projects taken care of. They're dilapidated. They living in buildings that are cracked in the walls. I've been over there many times. Been to many of the meetings over at the Housing Authority, way before she ever got on the council. So
Let's
I just
don't
want
make
you to
this
know
personal.
that we
Don't
ain't
make
gonna
it
go there.
personal.
It's not personal. It's just real. It's real. And this is life. This is public meeting. So the citizens need to know what is being said in this council. We're not gonna hide anything. I'm tired of y'all not being transparent in some of your situations. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, Mr. Tindall, anything else?
That concludes the planning commission business.
All right, we're now ready for the consent agenda. Madam Clerk, please read the consent agenda.
All items in this portion of the agenda are considered to be routine and non-controversial by the council and may be approved by one motion. However, a member of the council may request that an item be removed for separate consideration under the appropriate committee report. Ordinance 35, 2025, 26, second reading. An ordinance amending the operating and capital budgets for fiscal year 2026 for governmental funds. Ordinance 103, 2024-25 for a grant award. Ordinance 38, 2025, 26, second reading. An ordinance amending the zoning code and map of the city of Clarksville, application of legacy nursery and landscape for a zone change on a tract of land at the northern terminus of Kennedy Lane from C4 Highway Interchange District to C5 Highway and Arterial Commercial District. Ordinance 43, 2025-26, second reading. An ordinance amending the city zoning ordinance of the city of Clarksville as it pertains to citywide electronic message center signage regulations. Resolution 37, 2025-26, a resolution approving appointments to the Act Authority, Designations Committee, Gas and Water Board, and the Regional Planning Commission, and the adoption of minutes from December 4th.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Any member wish to be recognized on the consent agenda? We're now ready for the Finance Committee report. Chairman Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance 45, 2025, 26, first reading. An ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to conduct negotiations and to enter into an agreement for the purchase of real property for the purpose of expanding homeless support services in partnership with Clarksville Area Urban Ministries and the Well, a mission of Trenton Crossing Church of Christ. Both the Finance and the Neighborhood Community Services Committees recommended approval. Mayor, I would like to ask if you would mind bringing up Ms. Austin so that she can talk some about this ordinance, please.
Ms. Austin, if you would, please come forward. Councilman Streetman, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. Ms. Austin, could you talk to us? I know you've given us a fact sheet with a lot of information. Before I get into questions, could you talk a little bit about this ordinance that's before us?
I would love to, and I shared with each of you a fact sheet. That's very important because I do want to keep to the facts. I have a lot of points that I want to cover with this ordinance, and so if you don't mind, I have some notes that I'm going to read from, just to ensure I stay on track and cover everything that's necessary. First of all, I'm grateful for this opportunity to speak on this ordinance that authorizes the city to purchase the well property at 224 Union Street in partnership with Clarksville Area Urban Ministries. I want to start off by thanking each of you for sharing with me the concerns that you've received from the community members. I've enjoyed, for the most part, the many conversations regarding this important subject. If anything that has come from the public forums and the one-on-one conversation, it's a more informed community on the real challenge of our unhoused and the growing number of families and seniors who are experiencing losing their housing. I want to be clear about what this ordinance does and what it does not do. This ordinance does not establish a 24/7 shelter. It does not introduce a new population into downtown. And it does not replace a longer range work my office is doing with the Canopy and other partners for a plan for a comprehensive 24/7 shelter with wraparound services. That work is needed, it is ongoing, but this is not the property and it is not related to this ordinance. That work is desperately needed. This location is ideal because of the individuals and families we intend to serve through this site are already present in the downtown and Madison Street corridor. Many are already being served through the Well, a beautiful ministry of Trenton Crossing Church of Christ. Downtown has long functioned as a service hub because of its proximity to nonprofit and faith-based providers such as Operation Stand Down, Centerstone, Grace Assistance, and Good Samaritan, as well as our public transportation hub and our court systems, and of course our employment and workforce services. You may ask yourself the benefit of city ownership. The city is seeking to make targeted improvements to expand the services at this site. Making those investments in a city-owned and city-controlled property ensures long-term accountability, public oversight, flexibility with community when community needs evolve, compliance with local laws, codes, and conduct standards, as well as protection of this public investment. The intended use and operations of this site will support expanded case management hours and programming, emergency sheltering during extreme weather only, food, shower, and laundry services. Urban Ministries will enforce a clear code of conduct that prohibits drugs, alcohol, weapons, violence, loitering, trespassing, and littering in surrounding neighborhoods as outlined in our zoning code. With expanded case management, we expect outcomes such as faster connections to housing, reduced reliance on EMS, law enforcement, and emergency rooms, improved access to health care and behavioral health services, increased employment readiness, and greater housing stability and improved public safety. I want to be clear that this initiative did not take place on a whim. This project aligns directly with the mission of Neighborhood and Community Services, the city's 5-year HUD consolidated plan, my department's strategic plan, and the mission of the Community Development Block Grant Program. It also continues the track record you have already supported, including multiple ordinances for 7 properties I've sponsored for public-private housing initiatives with faith-based and nonprofit partners over the past 12 months, including a $600,000 investment into a quadplex through a partnership with Irene Center for Hope for transitional housing. The price of this property is $750,000, funded through Community Block Grant entitlement funds, with approximately $250,000 in planned improvements. The city intends to retain ownership and lease the property. Urban Ministries will carry annual operating and maintenance costs. If approved, next steps include final negotiations, site plan review, drafting a service agreement with Urban Ministries, and beginning those renovations included in this ordinance. In closing, this ordinance is about filling a community need and responsible investment at a site already serving the community. It strengthens what is working, improves safety, and outcomes that aligns with our city priorities. Thank you for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Councilman Straitman, you have the floor.
Thank you, Ms. Austin. I appreciate that. As you referenced, this is going to be coming from our Community Block Grant entitlement funds. So that's federal funds, correct? And those are federal funds. I apologize. Go ahead.
No, that's correct.
Okay, sorry.
Yes, so our Community Block Grant funds and our Home Improvement Act funds are the ones that we receive from the federal government.
And these are funds that we're not the only community throughout the country that's able to utilize these funds. Communities throughout the USA are able to apply for these funds and get these.
They are, absolutely. And they're entitlement funds, and they are based on our community's population and our community's needs.
So 0 property tax dollars will be going towards this.
That is correct.
Okay, and then does this exhaust our, I'm going to say for short, CBDG funds? Does this exhaust those funds?
That's a great question. So no, we have a portion of these funds that have to be intended for purposes like this. This does not affect our home repair program, our first-time home buyer program, our 12-month rental assistance program, our financial empowerment center that we're working to stand up in January, nor does it affect any of the public services that we currently support within the community through our nonprofits. We currently have, Chairman Shekina will speak on this on Thursday, but our grant applications for our CDBG public service funds will open on January 13th. That will start with a workshop, and that gives all nonprofit and faith-based organizations here in Clarksville an opportunity to apply for public service funding. Right now, we're doing that with Matthew Walker, Irene Center for Hope. Urban Ministries receives a portion of that grant. I know I'm missing somebody. But we work very closely. Manna Cafe is also a recipient of that grant funding.
You answered my next question that I had for you.
Okay.
One other question I do have is, we just recently approved a purchase, or allowed you to be able to purchase 3 parcels of land, I believe it was, and this went through the same process, correct?
Yes, those were 3 parcels that we purchased we used our CDBG funds because they were vacant properties in a low-income census tract. So we purchased those properties, and we are activating through Habitat for Humanity for low-income, single-family housing.
Okay, so this is the normal process that we usually go through anytime that you're needing to utilize these funds. It's going through your committee, the finance committee, and then through to the council.
Absolutely. And I appreciate your support for another parcel on Cedar Street that was approved earlier this year for Appalachian Service Project. Those are 3 homes for tornado survivors. And you will be receiving an invitation for a ribbon cutting here shortly.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Councilman Smith, do you have questions for Ms. Austin? Okay,
Yeah, I have one question for her.
okay, you're
Then I
recognized.
come in. Thank you. Thank you, Michelle, Miss Michelle, for coming up and giving us this overview about the well. Appreciate that and all that you do.
Thank you.
The purchase is $750,000. How much is our block grant that we receive every year from federal government?
Annually, we receive over $1 million, just over $1 million in.
A million or a billion? I'm sorry. You said million?
Well, say it into existence, but 1 million, just a little
1
over
million,
1 million.
okay.
I think it was 1,049,000 is what we've received this year in community block grant funding. That does not include home funding and some
Right.
other grants that we apply for.
That's good. Okay. All right. I want to say I want to finish. Okay. Thank you. I don't have any more questions for her, but I have something to say about this, okay? And I want you to understand this too, and everybody understand this, that my constituents are not against helping the homeless. Many of them have helped the homeless, and they still help the homeless. I, myself, have too, and still do.
Thank you.
Their concern is the location. The location is downtown, and we know that, and it's in the heart of downtown. Some people think the heart of downtown is just where the the park is. No, it spreads out. But the location is their concern, and how it will affect their businesses. And we heard that at the meeting, but a lot of them did not get to voice their concerns. They, we rushing for time, not rushing, but we gave them time, but they just didn't get to voice their concerns. And so they want to see the location changed. We don't want to talk about, how it would make the city look, or are we going to get influx of more homeless people. But the location is the problem, and I have a problem with that. Because after doing my research, I found out that my Ward 6, the low-income area, has about 10 homeless shelters, or any shape, form, or fashion as to how they take care of the homeless people. Okay, some provide clothes, some
Oh, absolutely.
feed,
Yes, ma'am.
you see what I'm saying? In many shapes, forms,
We have a great
fashion.
community support.
And so there's only one, and I think it's in Ward 4, and that's the Meta Cafe, which is right across the street from my ward, okay? So it used to be in my ward until we had to rezone it. And so my concern is this, is why we have to buy that building and add more influx of the homeless here downtown. And so I was thinking, to be fair and to balance this situation, why don't we put it in another neighborhood? Why don't we put it somewhere else? Because, we know that we want downtown to be vibrant, energetic, live, healthy, and safe. But some people don't feel safe. As I was out there doing an interview with Channel 2, or whoever it was, I can't remember who it was. But anyway, there was a man out there just yelling and cussing, homeless man. I mean, wasn't nothing being said about him because we respect the homeless.
He's definitely somebody that could be served at this location.
See, that we have that downtown right now. Homeless is out there. It was right out there sitting on that bench cussing and carrying on. But we was trying to do an interview. So we can't pretend that we don't see this because we see this all the time. So my concern is, why do we have to purchase at that location? Can we find another location? And I appreciate the mayor, what he's trying to do. He wants to help because I know he loves helping the homeless, and I do too. It hurts my heart to see people like this. But we just want to know, can we have another meeting with the business owners who voice their concerns, or and get something settled because they just don't think that they were informed properly. Okay?
Would you like for me to answer that question?
Please do.
So as far as the location, the reason why we like this location is because we can consolidate some of the services that are already being provided in the downtown area. Urban Ministries, their Grace Assistance Program is on 3rd Street. It is 2 blocks more towards the center of downtown than this location. The Well is already providing hot meals in the evening, church service, and food and clothing distribution. The warming shelter is located at Madison Street Methodist Church, which is, again, 2 blocks over. We're just relocating that to this building. So we're just moving all of those that are already happening in the downtown area to one central location and expanding our case management on that site and our hours of operation so we can have more oversight.
So how many beds do you plan to have in that place?
When it opens for emergency shelter during those extreme weather situations, that is going to have to be determined when we do the walkthrough with our fire marshal and our codes department. And so that will happen after we take ownership and do those final site plans of that
So what would
site.
you like to have?
For an emergency shelter right now, for our men, I'm thinking 60. Right now, I think they're averaging about 50.
About 50?
At our warming shelter, but we know that's going to increase as the winter goes on and more people exhaust those opportunities to find services, and then add on our women. And that is a smaller number than our men.
So about 100, 150, 100 something,
I would say closer to 80.
80, about 80. And
That's
so
what I would like to see
this
there.
is
That's what
like-
I would like to see there.
Okay. Is this gonna be a long-term stay? I know you said you want to get them out so that they can get them a job and try to get them on their feet. So what is the stay, the minimum stay that a homeless person can stay there?
Currently, our emergency shelters, we call it White Flag, only opens when our temperatures drop below 35 degrees 3 nights in a row. That is the current process. At their current location, those guests have to leave at 7 a.m. We would prefer that site, well, it will stay open. That's going to be Grace Assistance or Urban Ministries' new site of operation. So they'll be there all day long where they can provide that all case management throughout the day.
So, but and she said she wanted the hours of operation to be longer. So to be open 7 days a week? Is that the plan?
That they're not open 7 days a week right now, but
I'm talking about when we purchased this building and set it up for this plan that you have put in place.
yeah.
Y'all have proposed before us. So how long? What's the operations?
That will be part of the final lease agreement and service agreement that
So we
we enter
don't know
into.
that right now. Everything is just kind of,
If I am going to argue for 7 days a week, because right now
7
we know we
days a
need
week.
7 days a week with,
what will be the hours of operation? Please, ma'am. If you already got the 7 days, what time?
I mean, I don't have those facts. I would like to
Oh, that
see
either.
the basic business hours during the day, also with that hotline overnight, just like they utilize for the safe house. That'll be answered 24/7.
So what time would they have to be off the streets? Because we know that's the problem that these businesses are talking about, that they'll be laying around the streets and some of the tourists might not even want to come here. We're trying to build up downtown, and that's something I ran on. I wanted to make it vibrant, live,
Yes.
active.
I want the same thing for our unhoused. Through case management, that's what we spoke about, that they will be more quickly able to enter into housing. They are going to get the mental health, behavioral health services that they need. So none of us want folks lingering
Right.
on the streets. We want them in service. And so that's going to be an opportunity, if that does happen, that our friends at Urban Ministries can go to that location, connect with that individual, and try to work with them to get them into a safer location.
You know, thinking back many years ago when I was I'm still on the council, but many years ago, there was another mayor here, and we sent people out to go and check on the homeless to see if they want to be put in a shelter. And majority of them said no. I couldn't understand why they didn't want to be in a shelter. Well, some do this to make money. Some stand on the corner. I know, because I've handed out money, and they stand on the corner and they'll tell you they're homeless, but then when you see them leave in a brand new car or a brand new Jeep, are they really homeless? Some
I can't
are.
answer that question.
Oh, I know they're not. I can answer it. Because I had a guy to come and tell me, I'm just trying to give you an example here. I gave these people money for years. Every time I see them, I'm giving them money, 5, 10, 15, 20, whatever. You know what he told me one day in Walmart? Walked up to me, he said, ma'am, I know you. He said, you always give us money. He said, this outfit I got on right now is brand new. He said, but you know what, we really didn't need that money. I said, what? He said, we used to drink that money up. He said, but I thank you.
That is a
I said,
terrible
really?
story.
I said, but you telling me that you really didn't need, no, we partied it up. We partied it up. And we gave it to a church one time. So I'm just giving you an example of what, does homeless look like this? Or is this?
Not from my experience, no ma'am.
Mine either.
Yeah.
So we have to be careful when we call people homeless. Are they really homeless? And like I said, I'm for homeless people because I'm always helping, always. So with that being said, I see that you don't have a plan as to how this thing is going to operate yet.
That is not correct. No ma'am.
So what you
Urban
said you
Ministries
didn't know,
does have a business plan for this site. They have a budget.
but I
They're-
asked you what would be the hours of operation. You said you didn't know that. And I asked you how many days.
That doesn't mean that there's not a plan. That just means I'm not familiar with what the
But do we know
hours
the
of
plan? See,
operation.
the resident, the business people need to know the plan. That's their cry. They need to know the plan. What are the plans? How's it gonna affect our business downtown? How's it gonna affect the tourists? So there are many questions that are unanswered, and you can't answer them tonight. So I'm perplexed as to how it's gonna operate. What is it gonna do? How long it's gonna be open? Well, I mean, what are we looking at? I don't know. I'm still perplexed. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Holloman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Miss Austin, so the more services and benefits you provide the homeless, like the more homeless you will have. Like that is a rule of thumbs for cities. Like if you opened up a hotel room specifically for homeless people, whether the intention is to help locals, if you say, okay, it's for local homeless only, like I guarantee there'd be a massive influx of homeless people coming into the city. Like that's just the nature of it. Like when you're in that situation, you're going to seek the best opportunity you can from the people that are giving it out. And so I guess my question to you is, so how does, if we do this, the well or whatever, if we do this, how does it not increase the homeless population?
So the facts that you just shared are facts that I have never heard, and I would love if you would share that information with me so I could check your references.
Sure.
Thank you.
Are you going to answer the question?
Could you repeat the question for me, please?
How does it not increase the homeless population if we approve this?
Because we are working individually with people through their recovery, so they are able to be more self-sufficient and be active members of our community.
So is there like an identification card for locals? So like if a homeless person from Hopkinsville comes down here and sees this opportunity and is like, yeah, I definitely want to take advantage of that. Can you identify them or do you provide that service to them?
We would absolutely not brand people like that.
So it does increase the homeless population.
No, sir, that's
I
not
know
what I
that.
said.
But
Right now, we are
what
sending our
happens.
populations
That's
to
that's what
Nashville.
happens. Okay. All right. Well, we'll pretend like it doesn't increase the homeless population. Providing more services and benefits for homeless people does not increase the homeless population. We'll just pretend. Okay.
Let's
Yes,
be
sir.
respectful, please. Please,
Sorry.
Councilman.
I'm sorry. I apologize. They're already being served, so why would we expand services?
So we could provide more extensive services. Right now, they are being served with a bed and food and a little bit of case management, but we know that needs to be, recovery requires much more extensive work than what we're able to provide in the hours of operation at our warming shelter.
Okay. Do you really think that they're going to follow these rules?
Yes, sir, they're required by city code
That doesn't mean anything to them, though.
at this city-owned property.
But that doesn't mean anything. So no alcohol, no drugs. So you think the majority of people coming in will adhere to these rules?
They do that right now.
They do that right now.
Yes, sir.
I've heard stories from other nonprofits that would actually like refute that, but and I can't say whether they have. I'm sure they have no alcohol, no drugs rules, but I've definitely heard of like warming shelters, like people bringing stuff in. I mean, like
They go through a metal detector.
so.
Yeah, metal detector, okay. All right, well, that's all I've got for now, thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Chandler, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a couple of questions.
Yes, sir.
First question is, are we on any kind of deadline with the person wanting to sell this property?
No, they were not actively looking to sell it originally. When we talked to them, they wanted to extend the mission that they were already working on at that site. And so this just seemed like an ideal partnership for us.
Okay, and another thing too, are we on any kind of deadline on the block grant to cover this?
No, sir, we're meeting our timeliness deadlines for our community block grants already.
So we're not really under the gun on anything at the moment. Is that what you're telling me? I'm talking about as far as buying the property, as far as getting the funds from the federal government.
No, sir, we're not at the final hour trying to reach out for a Hail Mary. But I don't see any reason right now why we should postpone this item.
Now I got a comment or two to make.
Mhm.
Don't y'all love it? I hear, well, we got a homeless problem. I want everybody in this room and everybody listening or watching or wherever, if we vote no on this, we've still got a homeless problem. If we vote yes, we still got a homeless problem. I'm all for, as the old football coaches used to say, let's back up and punt and take a breath. This was kind of quick, I'll admit that. The meeting Friday night was great, but I would still like to hear more from, and I'm not belittling the business owners downtown at all, but I would like to hear more from the general citizens of the city and see what they think. I'm gonna tell you folks, this has been homeless has been a problem. Anybody remember Mr. Jim Amos?
Yes, sir.
He first wanted to put Salvation Army up in Providence at the old Providence Baptist Church. They fought him tooth and nail. He wound up putting it on Craft Street. Manna Cafe up in New Providence. It was fought tooth and nail. I was in my ward. I was city councilman. I fought long and hard for Manna Cafe. In fact, had an attorney in town that was just basically threatening to cut my head off if I continued to support them. My point being, no matter what, we are going to have to address the homeless population somehow. If that means, folks, go to New York City. Do they have a homeless problem? Sure they do. They even got hotels downtown as shelters. But the difference is, and nothing against Chief Burt Dining Police Department, they do a great job, but they got 5 officers per block walking. You know, is it our responsibility? When I say our responsibility, I'm talking about the city to sit down, try to come up with the plan, because we're going to have a homeless problem whether we throw this out the window or we decide to do it. We need to tackle the homeless problem. Guess what, folks? Clarksville, when I was born and raised here 71 years ago. It was a little bitty town. Over the last 71 years, we wanted to be the big metropolis town. Well, guess what, folks? We're finally making it. We have homeless, we have murders, we have robberies, and it's this body and this city's responsibility to do something about it. And remember this, Jesus never turned his back on anybody. Period. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
Councilman McLaughlin, you are recognized.
Did you want to respond?
I just wanted to make a note, when it talks about the city needs to do something, we have our Canopy Initiative, which is essentially a homeless services task force. It has have a standing meeting the first Tuesday of every month. They met earlier today, just before this meeting. And so that is a body of about 30 nonprofit organizations here in Clarksville that all have an arm to support our unhoused. And they are actively working on a strategic plan to address our homelessness by reducing the duplication of services and, again, making those measurable objectives. And just so you know, what we're planning to do today, what we want to do tomorrow as far as 24/7 sheltering at an alternative site, not this location. But that is all part of that larger city plan of these organizers. And if anybody is interested in being part of that initiative, I invite them to reach out to me or any of our nonprofits. They're all at the table. Thank you for that.
Okay, I knew you were going to say something, so I just want to give you that.
Thank you for that.
Respond. Over the past 3 years, well, let's say 2 years, with you in the director's position of Community Neighborhood Services, I think that you have filled a role that we've needed in a long time, somebody that takes every action that you do personally. And I appreciate that. You have a true servant's heart, and you're in the right position for that. Spent a lot of time with you during the flooding in my ward, and without you, who would have known what happened to those people? They could have been unhoused also. And you fought tooth and nail for them, and I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Thank you for your work during that time as well.
One question I have is, what are the current operations for the program at the well?
So the Well, of course, that is a ministry of Trenton Crossing Church of Christ. They have hot meals twice a week, and I believe it's Monday and Wednesday. During those hot meals, they have over 100 people who come to those meals. That is, of course, our unhoused that are in the downtown area. It's also some seniors, some families. The doors are open to anybody who is seeking a hot meal. They also have a clothing distribution day. They have an extensive clothing closet, and when I say that, the entire basement looks like Dillard's. And so that is another area of their ministry, and then they have church on Sundays.
Okay, so right now it's like 2 half days, pretty much is.
Yes, it's
Okay.
very limited hours there right now.
The reason I ask this is, up on our part of Clarksville, there have been several homeless encampments. And as property owners realize that those are happening, our police department will go and move them, and then they end up on somebody else's property. And then building codes has to go clean up the mess, and it's not good conditions. And the reason I ask this is, first of all, I've already expressed that I'm in favor of postponing this just so that people can get more information and have some dialogue and learn more about what to expect. But I still want to ask this question. So if and when there are expanded hours at, let's say, the Well or another location, do you anticipate that if law enforcement comes across an encampment of trespassers, that they would be able to offer, they already do, they offer rides to people all the time for the warming shelters, but an opportunity to go to the Well or another location supported by these nonprofits any time of day, so that they don't end up just being relocated to another property and then they're trespassed again, and it's just like a revolving door. So my question is, if law enforcement does come across somebody, if and when we do have a future location, will the hours be expanded where they would be able to relocate them for services where they could hopefully, find a place to live or a program or whatnot?
That's a great question. So I'll start with saying, right now, we do not have a 24/7 shelter.
Right.
So there's not always a place for them to go. But in those situations, we do want them connected with a provider who can navigate with them to see maybe what some of their options are. Urban Ministries has what they call the shelter phone, which is their 24/7 hotline, and so that would still be in effect. So even if the warming shelter was not open for a place for them to go, they could still be connected to someone. And what happens during those moments is kind of like a triage situation. If that person who is being assisted, if that is a veteran, there might be some options for a veteran. There might be a pot of money for a hotel room until he can get connected with somebody. If that is a family with small children, there are some other opportunities for people like in that situation, if it's a domestic violence survivor. So do you see what I'm understanding? It's not like there's nowhere to go, there's no answer. We want there to be a connection during that time so that person can be triaged into whatever services are available at that moment.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Marquis, you're recognized.
Thank you. Okay, so this was kind of touched upon earlier a little bit, but I wanted to ask it mainly because it was a question posed to me by a resident and I didn't have the answer. So I told him I'd ask. And it's about the CDBG application. I know it was mentioned it's going to be opening from January 13th to February 9th. And the question this individual had was this part of that? And how did we come to the conclusion to use these funds for this if we have an application process, and how, pretty much how we get there?
Yeah, I would love to answer that. So the application process that we have right now is for public service. I will say, and public services is like rental assistance, utility assistance, those things that prevent somebody from becoming evicted or unhoused. We also use it through Matthew Walker for some dental care and some health care, specifically for our residents who are over the age of 62 or under the age of 18. But as far as projects go, I have individuals and organizations that come to me regularly with an idea for a project, and we talk through that. But only those that come to me with a plan of action are the ones that we take to fruition.
Okay.
That's typically, there's a lot of ideas out there, and there's a lot of things we want to support, and I say, yep, and we bounce around some ideas, and until they come back with like a plan, then it's not
Okay.
pursued.
Okay, well, so there's pretty much two main categories. Like you said, you have the public service they apply, and then anything, big projects or something else.
Yeah, but a lot of those projects are fruitful. Right now, we work with Mosaic Churches Going Global, Going Local. They are our Trudeau, which is our community housing development organization. So they are building affordable housing for us. Also, Habitat for Humanity has been a fruitful organization. We've had conversation with Loaves and Fishes about some transitional housing on their property. So these are all things that are in the hopper. We're just waiting for people to put the numbers together.
Okay, and then the other question I have is, I guess, there's, it seems like a lot of people are trying to wrap their head around why the purchase in the sense of the city being the middleman. Because, you have one organization who's doing their work, and then you have another organization doing their work, and it seems like we're just gonna kind of come in, buy one, and then lease to the other. Why not just them work together, I guess?
Yeah. So a lot of our organizations don't really have the funding bandwidth, and that's where we come in to help, is make those connections. We see this as a community service project. I mean, this is a gap in our community. This is something that we focus on in my office to address homelessness, and it's a great solution for us to invest these CDBG funds into a property that we own and have some oversight over.
Okay. And then again, I know I have mentioned to you, but I do have security concerns. I just feel like it's been mentioned before by them about their time constraints with the area that they live in, or excuse me, the area that they use, and having to be out the building by a certain time because of it. And then I just feel like it's odd to then move that somewhere else where in my head I'm perceiving the same security issues. That I did email you about that, but yes. Thank you.
Councilman Brown, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. So I have a little bit a different concern on this, or question. Saying that the ordinance says that the city will purchase the property in partnership with Urban Ministries and the Well. And there's been mention about a long-term lease to Urban Ministries, but there's nothing in this ordinance that says anything about leasing it to them and a time frame. Because my concern is, well, besides the location, but the ordinance, what it is a long-term lease. You have to have an out, or you have to have renewals.
Absolutely.
And if you do a lease where it's 10 years, that's a long time. I mean, I would like to see something with the lease saying that it's reevaluated or renewed every 2 years or something. Because if something is not going the way that we feel that it should be going, well, if the lease is 10, 20 years or 100 years, like some things happen, we have to have a way to look at it and go, something's not right, we need to reevaluate this lease and have a way to get out of it. If it's 2 years to where, we get time, or you have a new mayor comes in, or new council, they could reevaluate this and say, is this being done the way it should be? And that the owners of the properties around it, the businesses, if they're don't see that this is going right, that there could be a ending point that it would get reevaluated.
That's a great point. Because we are using community block grant funding for this initiative, it would have to be monitored every 2 years. Just like properties that we purchased for Buffalo Valley 20 years ago, our staff still goes out every 2 years and visits those sites to make sure that they still align with housing quality inspections, but also that they're used for the same purpose that funding was used to purchase that asset.
Right. And that's just what I'm, saying, that in a lease, you have to have a time frame to where you can say, this is the date, you better be doing it right, or the lease is expiring.
I agree with you, and Mr. Bittner is going to assist me with that,
Thank you.
hopefully.
Councilman Streetman, you're recognized.
I don't have any further questions. I have comments to make, and if no one has any other questions.
Nobody else is on the board. Thank you, Ms. Austin.
I'd like to, first of all, echo the sentiments of Ward 2 and in regard to Miss Austin. I fully trust her ability to be able to bring this to us, as well as monitor this situation as it went forward, whether it was changes that needed to be made down the road, but her partnership with Urban Ministries, her heart, her research, her involvement in this topic, especially with the Canopy Initiative and essentially the task force that has been working on this, I've got the full faith in her ability to be able to do this. I thank her for everything that she has done for our community, not only on this, but everything that was referenced before as well. I also understand exactly what the councilperson from Ward 4 stated, that we have a problem either way you look at it. One of the things that I've said in some different conversations that I've had with people, if nothing changes, nothing changes. If we don't do anything to make a difference, you're not going to see anything different than what we already have. And for years now, I've had people come up to me and say to me, we need to do something about this homeless situation that we have downtown. This is a step to try and start doing something more than what's already being done. This is offering more services. It's not offering a place for a shelter, as was stated, for people to be able to stay there 24/7. This is a beginning step to start offering more services to the individuals in our community that are in need of these. As you see that there was different services that were going to be offered for our individuals, and that includes when you think about showering services and laundry services. I've heard how customers and people from the community are afraid to come downtown. They get scared when they see a homeless person walking towards them. This would allow them the opportunity for both, again, the showering services and the laundry services. If that person was able to take a shower, to have clean clothes, are they going to look like that homeless person coming towards you, or are they just going to look like any other person that's walking around in our downtown area? The ability to be able to have clean clothes and be able to have good hygiene for themselves will help enable them to be able to obtain employment, obtain better employment, keep employment, as well as will kind of embolden themselves to have more confidence in themselves, to believe in themselves that they're worth more than just living on the street. I have heard from everybody. I understand the small business owners in our downtown area not wanting to have this here, but the the homeless population is already there. This is a way to serve them and try and improve the problem. I understand that we really need to do a multi-prong approach, but this is one prong that we need to step forward on and try and help out. As was stated, you were talking about this being actually a little bit further away from where there's already emergency shelter and where Urban Ministries is already located at. This will allow them additional hours to be able to serve the public. I know that they talked about too growing in case managers and to be able to offer more case management to these individuals that are there. But if we never do anything about it, nothing is going to change and you're going to continue to see the same thing. I'll have more to say on this when we talk on Thursday night, but right now, my stance has not changed. I'm in support of this. I appreciate the years of research that has gone into this and work on this. And I, again, thank Ms. Austin for everything that she has done to try and bring this before us through the same process that we've had with everything else, with the money that was spent for the parcels that was referenced before for the last 12 months worth of items that she's brought before us. And this council has trusted her when she has done so and allowed her to be able to move forward on these projects. Thank you.
Councilman Smith, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I would just like to say, I want to thank you, Miss Austin. You're working hard. I know you're new at this, but you're getting your feet wet. You're running with it. But I want to thank all of the other nonprofits out here who are helping the homeless throughout the year, way before we even done this. People have been helping the homeless for years. There are so many nonprofits out here that I know about that has been doing this. This is nothing new. So what Miss Austin is doing is nothing new. It's been going on for years in this city. But we thank Miss Austin for what she is doing. She's learning, she's getting her feet wet, and she's stepping. And I thank her for that. But as I said, we have Ward 6 hold all of the nonprofits that take care of those who are less fortunate. We have about 10, as I said, homeless shelters in this ward. And I think we need to find a new location to put this. I thank the mayor and applaud him for wanting to do this. He wants to help the homeless. I know that. And I know he has a heart for it. I do too. We all do. And so, but we just think, to be fair, we do need to find another location. And I think that would ease the concerns and make people feel, better about having their businesses downtown. I think we need to listen to our people who bring tax dollars into this city. We need to listen to them, and we need to try to accommodate them in such a way that it would help their business to grow, and they would have a safe area to work in. Not saying that they create all the crimes, but, I've seen some treacherous things, and you have too. We all have. But as I said, I just think that we need to find a new location. We don't have a problem with helping the homeless. As I said, that's my heart, part of my heart. But we just need to find a new location. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilman Holloman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I very much do believe that this will increase the homeless population, and then services will be stretched anyways. So under that logic, so it's like, okay, so our homeless population's like this, slow trickle of homeless people coming in. Not going to deny that. We do have a problem. Or we can allocate more money, more buildings, more services, and then have a homeless population like this with stretched services. Because no matter what, the services are going to be stretched. That's all I've got. Thank you.
Anybody else? God help us. Chairman Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I apologize. 1 second. Resolution 36, 2025, 26, a resolution requesting the Regional Planning Commission to perform a study with regard to Title 11 zoning, Chapter 11 administration and enforcement, Section 11.11 amendments affecting the same parcel of land, and return an ordinance for consideration by the Clarksville City Council. The Finance Committee voted in favor of disapproval. Mayor, I'd like to turn the floor over to the sponsor of this, Councilman Tim Chandler.
Councilman Chandler.
For Ward 4, sorry.
Councilman Chandler, you're the sponsor. You're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. All this is back years ago, Wallace Reed introduced a rule and it's been known throughout history as the Wallace Red Rule, that when you brought a zoning case before the city council, that if it failed, then you had to wait a year before you could represent it. Somewhere along the way, that kind of got slid under the table, and now it says that any council person can bring up a no vote with 75% of the council for it to go any further. The original Wallace Red Rule made everything revert back to Robert's Rules of Order, which says the only way it could be brought back was a person had to be on the prevailing side, meaning if they voted no and it failed, they could bring it back up. So all I'm doing is asking for this is to go back to the Wallace Red Rule. You get one shot at it, and attorneys here, they'll know what I'm talking about. You get one bite at the apple, and that's it. You don't get numerous bites at it. And I'm not accusing anybody on this council or anything or anybody, but they're leaving it like this. There is room for it to be misused. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilman Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Would it be possible, since this is referencing sending asking the Regional Planning Commission to perform a study with this, would it be possible to hear from Mr. Tyndall and get their thoughts on this?
Possible, whether he wants to or not, it's up to him. Mr. Tyndall? You have the floor. That's appropriate.
Guess my time's up.
All right, now.
Did you do that on purpose, council member?
That's your walk-up music, Mr.
It is. That is ingrained in history
Kind
right
of
there.
funny you walk.
I'll respond to the council member to sponsors comments on this. When the zoning ordinance was completely redone in 2010, this was part of that rewrite, so there was nothing special or slid in since that fact. The current language, if none of you have looked at it, and I'll read it, it's just a sentence or three. Unless a previously allowed zoning amendment by city council, no action shall be initiated for a zoning amendment affecting the same parcel of land no more often than once every 12 months, provided, however, by resolution approved by a 3/4 majority of members present of the city council, that action may be initiated at any time. Initiation is three ways a zoning case can get initiated: by petition of a property owner through application to the planning commission. The planning commission can recommend a zone change on a property independently, and the city council can recommend a zone change on a piece of property. What this two sentences basically says is if a zoning passes, so if you have a case ag to R1, you pass it, and then someone says, I really want to try for R2, they can come back in less than a year because it passed to the affirmative. If that gets denied, say you want to go to ag to R5, obviously maybe a little overshoot, it gets denied by city council. A lot of land deals are contingent, so maybe that contingency fell through because the zoning was not passed. Now an owner has another buyer and they want to come in for maybe R1, and that's completely acceptable. Maybe it was expressed from city council that you'd support R1. Without this clause in here, the landowner would have to wait an entire year to come back to the planning commission to apply to try for the R1. You're gonna burn 6 to 9 months there waiting to do that, where this allows the landowner to come to city council to ask for a sponsor, one of you, to bring a resolution, and it's a 3/4 vote. It's the most stringent vote level threshold to reach to reapply with the planning commission. So I think when this came up, I asked the city clerk to do some research. I think this has been attempted 7 times in the last 4 or 5 years, and only 3 of those 7 have prevailed, with the most recent one a month or two not passing. So I think of it as in case of emergency, break glass for the city council. In case a property owner needs to do something, wants to do something, it's a request. It's an ask to you all. You all can debate it. If it passes, it comes back to the planning commission. This really doesn't affect our workload one way or another. It would have prevented 3 zoning cases in the last couple of years from coming back to us in less than a year. So I think it's a good fail-safe. It's there for a purpose. It has a purpose when needed, but you all can debate the need for that, whether or not you want to hear each case on a case-by-case basis with the language that's there.
Councilman Streetman, you have the floor.
One more question. One of the things that was discussed in the Finance Committee was in regard to an applicant that requests a zoning change, and it's never voted on. It's not voted on by the RPC. It's not voted on by the City Council. However, they are still, the one-year rule still applies to them. And I think you and I talked about this a little bit as well, and why that 1 year is in place on that. And this is, I'll let you just talk about that, sorry.
The original birth of the one-year waiting period and the red rule, as was mentioned, is there were attempts back in the 90s and early 2000s. A developer may come for R4, get denied, come back next month, R4 again, until the community just becomes weary of combating or coming out against a zone change. So the idea was, if it's denied, you got to wait, because you're just going to wear the community out. But this gives an opportunity or an out through the City Council. When I said initiated originally, initiated at the Planning Commission is through an application. Well, there are times that cases never actually make it to City Council. They'll apply with the Planning Commission. After a month or two, the deal fell through. Someone got a better deal on the property. Maybe they're feeling the sense of the staff and the Planning Commission that it's not going to pass, and they'll withdraw it before it even gets to City Council. Well, according to the zoning ordinance that has been initiated, the study's begun, they can't come back to the Planning Commission, and you might only be 2 months into the year. You have to wait 10 more months, and you've not even voted on it yet, and that has happened several times as well. So it's a tool for your use and for the property owner's use out there when it's needed. I don't feel like it's abused, and it's there for when you need it.
That's all of my questions. I do have a comment, but I don't know
You
if
have the
anybody.
floor.
Well, you actually referenced, Mr. Tyndall referenced the numbers that I was going to reference as well. I referenced them in the Finance Committee meeting. Like I said, it was 7 cases over 5 years. 3 passed, 3 made it through and went back to the Regional Planning Commission, and out of those 3, only 2 passed. And one of those 2 was an example of exactly what I asked Mr. Tyndall about, because they started the process, things completely changed, and then they were going to have to wait, like he stated, another 10 months. So the council then approved it going back to the council, but to the Regional Planning Commission by that 3/4 majority. And just so everyone's clear in the public, that 3/4 majority out of 13 individuals, that means we have to have 10 people that are going to say yes. If you have 4 people say no, then they're going to have to wait that time. I think that's a fair tool, as you mentioned, to have in the event that someone does want something completely different after listening to us, to be able to have a better zoning than what they were asking for in the first place, or if something completely changes with the road, or if it never makes it to us. I think having that with that high threshold is a good safeguard to keep in place. And I voted against it at the Finance Committee, and I'll be voting against it Thursday night, although I understand the point of the sponsor in bringing this forward. Thank you.
Councilman Chandler, you're recognized.
I think that people's mixing apples and oranges here. And the reason I say that is we're talking about a no vote from this body. Not if the planning commission, if I'm a developer, I go to the planning commission, I change my mind or whatever, that has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is the Waller's Red Rule was, if this body votes it down, you have to wait a year. Not anything, any snafus at planning commission, not any snafus anywhere else. A vote of no from this body. Not what happens at the planning commission. Planning commission sends stuff to us all the time, disapproval, and we approve it. They send us stuff approval, and we disapprove it. Again, just like I said in the Finance Committee, Regional Planning Commission is an advisory council. we are a legislative council. They can give us a recommendation, and it's entirely up to us to pass the ordinances, resolutions, or whatever. And I'm through with it. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilman Streetman?
Thank you,
recognized.
Mayor. To be clear, it's not apples to oranges. It's apples to apples, as he just stated and as I explained. Once the application process has begun, it's not dependent upon it just being a no vote. If the application process has begun, if it's not an approval, then that process started and they would have to wait the entire year. So that's where the key is on, is whether it's an approval. If it's approved, then like he stated, they can actually continue to apply over and over again as long as they get an approval. But that was the only point that I tried to make in finance that I've made here and has been supported by Mr. Tyndall as well in his explanation. Thank you.
Councilman Chandler, you're recognized.
Mr. Bentner, you are the city attorney. If I, as a developer, apply to the planning commission and something happens at the planning commission that it doesn't get brought to this board, does that prevent them from bringing it to us later on in that year?
Mr. Bittner, that's a question for you. Apparently your name was called.
Yes, unfortunately, it's not in the zoning code that way, but it is under Title I, Chapter 2, under the City Council General Rules of Order. And what Tyndall said is correct, that if it is withdrawn, then there is 12 months waiting period unless you have the 3/4. It kind of mimics the zoning code, so it is a 3/4 approval of the city council members.
Okay, so could you send that to me so I can put a resolution to change that? Thank you, sir.
Yes, yes, I will. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Any more comment or question regarding this resolution? Back to you, Chairman Streetman.
That concludes my report, Mayor.
Thank you very much. We're now ready for Neighborhood and Community Services Committee. The chairman is not here, and he'll have a report on Thursday. Parks and Recreation Committee Chairman Zacharias, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll have a full report on Thursday, but I do like to use this time to highlight some community events that Parks and Rec are doing for people that might want to get registered before our next meeting. Heart and Help is a support program for parents and caregivers of individuals with autism, Down syndrome, developmental delays, and other special needs. They meet at the Crow Rec Center on Wednesday evenings. And then Lean To, Crafts and Connections is a support and fellowship program for residents who are coping with the loss of a significant other. And they meet on Fridays at Burt Cobb. And if anybody's interested in either of those programs, they're encouraged to visit ClarksvilleParksRec.com for registration information. And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Public Safety Committee Chairman Lovato, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll have a full report on Thursday, but we do have the EMR standards update with Chief Freddie Montgomery.
Chief Montgomery, your name was called.
He says he needs a whole hour.
You're out of order, sir.
It's past my bedtime. I'll be brief.
Okay.
So, this already on? Okay. So this is basically, it's informational. It's about the EMR standards update. It's nothing, the logic is not anything new to Clarksville Fire Rescue. Over the last 6 years, I've used data to raise the standard in a bunch of different areas. So a lot of y'all that have been here noticed that I've always taken these opportunities to do that. So we've been looking at some data and saw a few gaps. So I'm just going to go over what we're doing internally to fix that gap and how we're addressing that. So with the EMR minimum standards adjustment, what we're doing is we're making EMR a minimum standard for all personnel at Clarksville Fire Rescue. Primarily starting with all fire suppression personnel that are on the 24-hour shift and delivering the service. And the reason we're doing this is because basically 80%, nearly 80% of our calls are all medical calls, which in our current situation, not all of our suppression personnel can provide medical service. So we were sitting somewhere around 60% of our people could do that. So we wanted to improve that. We wanted to be a better department and be able to provide that service when we're out in the public. By raising the minimum standard, we're ensuring that we can provide the service, and that'll support our rescue response and enhance public safety. And by enhancing public safety, what I want to do is minimize the chances that we're out in public and there's a medical emergency and we can't provide the service. Currently, I use the comparison that if you're out, it's real close. If you're out in public and a fire truck is there, engine company is there, and you have a medical emergency, in our current situation, we may not be able to help you. That crew may have to call for help, and we don't want to be in that situation. And this will eliminate that once this plan goes into place, which it's already started, basically. All right, so the current status, how we're going to tell you how we're going to get there. We currently have 84 people that are paid below the EMR level. So we're raising the standard, but we also want to compensate them for meeting that new minimum standard. So everybody that is paid below that 52,347, they're going to be moved up to that base EMR pay. And what that looks like right now is 84 personnel in the department. We have 51 that are already, that number says 53, but we have 51 that are already certified as EMRs, and we're starting the process to move them up to that EMR-based pay. That will be our first step. And then we have 16 recruits that are currently in the academy, and they will soon follow that in about 90 days once they graduate from the academy. And then we have 15 additional personnel to certify by January 1, 2027. So we're going to accomplish this using no new money. It's something that we can do internally. No new money from this year's budget. It will be in our future plans and future budgets to make sure that everyone we hire, once they graduate, they go to that EMR base pay level. So as I said, we'll adjust those salaries. We have 3 phases basically that we're going to do that. And so the basic cost, this first phase, it is under $181,000, and that is over the last 6 months of this fiscal year is what that's going to cost. And then we're going to offer the training to adjust the salaries for newly certified EMRs and the recruits in our second phase. And that's going to start around when they graduate their class, and for the recruits in March when they graduate, or once they have 90 days in after this first phase. And the full implementation of this will be January 1, 2027. So that's the basics of that. If you have any questions, I'll take those now.
Councilman Streetman, you have a question?
Thank you. It's not a question as much as I want to say thank you to you, Chief Montgomery. I know you and I talked about this in finance. You and I talked about this as far back as May, as this is something that you were wanting to work towards and get our department where we could do this. And I'm very grateful to you for everything you've done for this. I know it's a win-win. It's a win for our firefighters, but as you know, discussed in the finance committee, it's an exceptional win for our city to be able to have those trained with the medical services to be able to serve anyone, no matter the situation that they come upon, which is different than what we've had in the past. So again, thank you for your work on this and grateful to you.
You're welcome. Thank you. It is a step in the right direction. You know, all fire departments are mostly EMS now, running medical calls. So we have to step up and fill that gap. So we're moving in that direction.
Thank you, Chief. No
All
more
right.
questions. Chairman Lovato, you're still recognized.
That concludes my report, but I do want to say thank you for your timeliness.
He gave us back 58 minutes. All right. We have a Transportation, Streets, and Garage Committee report. Chairman Smith, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I have the report on January the 8th. That's Thursday.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Under new business, we have 2 items. Item A, Resolution 38, 2025-26, a resolution approving the appointment of the general manager of the Clarksville Gas and Water Department. Members, you'll recall that pursuant to city code that was approved by this body, the to create and name a gas and water board to oversee the operations or the general manager of the gas and water department. Their first act was to present this resolution that would name Mark Riggins as the general manager of Clarksville Gas and Water, and that's what this resolution is about. Is there a question regarding this resolution from the council? Councilman Smith, you recognize?
I thought he already was the general manager.
He
So
was.
why are we doing this?
He was until we created the board, and then that required them to present him to the council for approval. So if he were to leave,
Oh, I see.
then they would vote and recommend someone to this council, and we would have to approve it or deny it.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Any other comment or question regarding this resolution? We're now ready for item B, Resolution 39, 2025-26, a resolution authorizing an interlocal agreement between the City of Clarksville and the Penny Ryle Regional Energy Agency. Put my teeth in so I can talk. Chairman McLaughlin, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. To make it simpler, and because we've been here a lengthy amount of time, I'd like to ask Mr. Riggins to come forward and give a brief explanation of this.
Mr. Riggins, you're recognized.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. As some of you may remember, most of you may remember, Gas and Water had plans to run a redundant line from Elkton, Kentucky to Clarksville. This is many years ago. We even went through with design. We paid Texas Gas Pipeline for capacity for that for 5 years. And throughout all of that, just to keep it short, we did not pursue that project in the end. Because of some federal regulations and some confusion and misunderstanding along the way, it was determined that, best that I can remember and tell, that we would not be able to serve those residents of Kentucky from there to here, and it just was not the right way to go. I'm proud to say that what we're proposing here, this agreement with PREA, is what this project probably should have been from day one. To where PREA is actually running the line, not from Elkton, but from Cadiz, all the way to Clarksville and Guthrie area. Reason being is because with that Texas pipeline, through our partnership with PREA in Guthrie, Kentucky, and talking to that Texas pipeline, it will take, in order to get what they need and we need here, it would take considerable upgrades on their infrastructure, which we would be at full cost to pay for, and others would benefit from. We did not like that. And PREA, of course, didn't like that as well, so they're going all the way to Cadiz, where they have two 30-inch pipelines with A&R who can serve all the needs of us and many more. Again, all the details are in here. This has, basically what this does for Clarksville, along with the second water plant that we're building now, and the second sewer plant that someday, when we're finished with the study that we will design and propose to build, this will provide, like those will provide redundancy, and those for water and sewer infrastructure, this will provide redundancy for our gas, which is something we've been interested in, of course, like I've said, for many years. These kind of opportunities do not come along very often at all. If we were to not do this, I don't know that we'll ever see one in the next 50 years. So we're very happy to partner with PREA on this. We have taken this through our council, through our other legal counsel consulting firm, McCarter English out of Washington, D.C., has reviewed this thoroughly, and we present this as it is, and very happy to do so. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might
Okay,
have.
questions for Mr. Riggins regarding this resolution? Councilman Smith, you're recognized.
All right. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Riggins,
Yes,
for
ma'am.
trying to explain that to me, because I still have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So in this interlocal agreement, how is it gonna operate? Is that comes with, y'all putting pipes down, or y'all coming together to do this?
Right.
I know that's what interlocal coming,
Right.
But I'm saying, is there gonna be money paid for this? Y'all both have to, I don't know.
Yes. So PREA will build the pipeline from Cadiz, Kentucky to the state line,
Okay,
which will come approximately where the industrial park is, somewhere, let's say, west of Guthrie Highway, between Guthrie Highway, Tylertown Road, in that area where the state line is. And then we will build the infrastructure from the state line that connect to our line in the industrial park. There's a high-pressure gas line there that we will tie that into. D2 Energy is the consultant for PREA. We've hired that same consultant because there's cost savings. There's no need in having two engineering firms, two consulting firms competing or at odds. So we hired the same D2 Energy to design our side of that meter as well. So basically, just like we have meters to a customer, if we have gas to your home and there's a meter and then beyond that it's yours, it's the same thing with PREA in reverse. They bring the pipeline down, they have a meter, and then from there on it's ours. And we basically pay for the gas that we take. Actually, what we're doing is we'll have a subsequent agreement with A&R, which will purchase the gas from them directly, and then just pay PREA for the transportation, using their line to transport that gas from Cadiz, Kentucky to here, and that's what this agreement is for. The pipeline is under design right now, and this is part of this agreement. The need for this is so they can take that along with other agreements that they're entering into now to their financiers in order to secure the financing. This basically guarantees if they build this line, they're going to receive a certain amount of money from customers along the way, as you can imagine. The business plan they have to present to their financiers. So if for some reason that pipeline's not built, which I don't foresee that happening, then of course this will never happen and we'll never pay out any money.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Any other comment or question? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anything else, Councilman McLaughlin?
That concludes my report.
All right, thank you very much. We're now ready for public comments. Our city code allows 3 individuals 5 minutes each to address the city council. If you'd like to address the council, please come forward. Seeing none?
I'll come up, Mayor.
All right.
I'm sorry, I thought more people would be jumping.
Looks like give us your name and you have 5 minutes.
Yes, sir. My name is Dwight Eversole. I live up in Dog Hill on First Street. I've been here for 30 years. I'm retired military, 28 years in the military. I want to thank everybody for everything they do here. I watch a lot of your meetings. I learn a lot. I went to the meeting the other day about the well, and that's specifically what I wanted to talk about. And I appreciate the people that handle all these nonprofits and all this outreach and all these great things that we do. But we can't always listen to what they say to us and take it as the gospel. Sometimes they don't know what's going on, even if they're in charge of those programs or in charge of what they're doing. Like we hear the well. I live right there a couple doors down. I got 14 houses in Dog Hill within that 2-block radius. I offer affordable housing below half what the market, and I've done that for over 30 years. That was my passion and the way that I give back, and I still do that. The kid that lives next door pays $375 a month. He's been there 15 years. I never raised the rent. I don't need to, because that's not the way I see what I do. And I think a lot of these people in the nonprofit world see it the same way. I know that when we say nonprofit, we think charity, but these are businesses. And they get paid just like you do and just like I do and a lot of people to do what they do. So that's their advocacy. So I went to this meeting the other day and they had a testimonial. It was an older gentleman, I would say probably around 70, and he's homeless. His wife, he told us that his wife had passed away. They both had received Social Security, and they could afford to live, and they could afford their housing. She passed away. He could no longer afford it. He was a college graduate. He said that he had taught for 12 years of college, but now he's homeless. He received Social Security, and he sleeps in a chair down here in the Commons. And I said, wow, that is amazing. It could happen to anyone. Of course, we know that. And so I started thinking about it, and he works with the ministries, the urban ministries. And I'm thinking 2 years he sits in a chair and sleeps under a blanket. What have they done for him in 2 years? So it makes me question the effectiveness of some of these programs we have. And then we hear people come up and say, well, what does the well offer? I drive by there every day. I've done it ever since they opened. They used to be really busy. They used to have church on Sundays. I don't see that anymore. We were told they do that still, but they don't. They have some outreach. They have some clothing that's distributed, and they only serve on Monday and Wednesday, which really has not been a major problem. Because most of those people that go to the well, a lot of them live in my neighborhood. They have lived in my neighborhood. They're not homeless. A lot of them receive food stamps and they receive a check, but they say, well, if I can eat for free, then I can sell my food stamps and I can buy things that I want. And I said, well, that's not really what they're there for. But it also provides some community for them and socialization. But now I take people up there every once in a while because they want to stop and get a meal on Monday and Wednesday. And sometimes they pick up 2 meals. And they have a house, they have food at home, and they can go drive up right to the door like a drive-through. They can pick up their meal, they don't have to stay. They don't have to socialize, they don't have to talk to nobody. They get their meal and they go home. I don't want to say a negative thing about it or a positive thing about it. But then I think about, I was in the Army. I know a lot of people struggle. Clarksville is a big city, but everything has to be right here. So I agree with a lot of the things I heard from the council people, and I do think there's some great programs out there. But then I've been in Dog Hill for 30 years. They took a whole street away and a lot of single-family homes to expand the jail. Then they put a Centerstone community, it's not a community center, it's a what I call a transitional home on the corner of Klein Alley on Union Street. It's been there for years, and we really haven't had any problem out of those people either. And then down the hill, they put Judy's Hope, right there behind where you want to put and have more services for homeless people, or what we call them. And then you've got, up on the hill, you got Buffalo Valley now. So we've got a lot of stuff within this small area of downtown, and I think, what about the people in New Providence? Aren't they part of Clarksville? What about some people further out? Why can't we find a location, $750,000? Why can't we find a location, maybe some donated land, and build
Thank you, sir. Your time is up.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to address the council? If you would, give us your name and you have 5 minutes. And pull that microphone down.
My name is Joyce Wyrick. I live, one house is between my home and the well, as y'all like to call it. I still refer to it as the Moose Club. Yes, we need homeless services in Clarksville, but it does not need to be in a residential area. I don't care whether it's my area, your area, or anybody else's area. It does not need to be touching a residential area. There's homes on the other side of the well, and there's the map that they put up Friday night was very deceiving. It showed the downtown area, and it showed barely in. It did not show that we're a residential area. We're the oldest residential area in Clarksville as far as I know. And I'm not basing it on that at all. I'm basing it on the fact that it should not be in a residential area. And anybody that says that they would welcome a homeless shelter in their neighborhood, they're not telling the truth. I have had a lot of issues because of it. Now, I'm going to get a little gross here, because this is what I have had to endure because of the well being where it is. I have had to clean up women's bras, panties, men's underwear, used condoms, used needles, all the trash, because they don't clean up after it. The people that get the services don't care about our neighborhood. But on another token, I was also informed after Friday night's meeting that, and I was aware that about 2 o'clock Friday morning, there were sirens, and I could see the lights out my bedroom window where they stopped on 2nd Street. And I've now been informed that that was because of a stabbing that occurred somewhere else, and a homeless person had made it that far. And today I was informed that a restaurant downtown on New Year's Eve, people were trying to enjoy dinner, and a night out. And what did they have to endure? A homeless person came in. That proprietor asked that they leave their business, and they didn't. And they asked numerous times for that person to leave their business. So what did the homeless person do? He pulled a knife on people. And that is the kind of crap that we have had to put up with ever since the well has been located there and feeding the homeless. Yeah, but I will say Alan made a perfect point. There used to be lots of people that sought the services of the well that no longer. And I applaud Councilman Holloman for making the comment that, yes, we offer this little bit of service, and, you know, the old saying of give them an inch and they'll take a mile. And that's exactly what's going to happen if expanded services go into that building. We're going to have to be the blunt of the problem. We're going to be on the receiving end of the issues. And someone told me that I was an angry person. No, I'm not an angry person at all. I'm very passionate about my home and about my neighborhood and about the city of Clarksville. I'm 81 years old. I have seen lots. I remember when Clarksville, a lady didn't go downtown on Saturday without hose and heels, and most of the time, many of them wore hats and gloves. And now people don't care. I loved having to walk on Franklin Street, where you had to elbow your way through the people on the sidewalks. And that's the kind of Clarksville that I fell passionately in love with. And we can't have that now because of the homeless people walking up and down the streets. Yes, they have a right to walk up and down the streets just like I do. But people don't go downtown because they know they're going to encounter that. And the people that have businesses downtown certainly
Thank you. Your time is up. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Is there anyone else that wishes to Is there anyone else that wishes to address the council? All right, we're now ready for council member comments. Any member of the council wish to make a comment? I see none. We are adjourned. See you Thursday.